I welcome the second speaker of the day, Mrigendra Singh Kushwaha, and the title of his talk is Saturation for W-Refined Littlewood-Richardson Coefficients.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to, I would like to thank to this organizer to giving me this opportunity. So this is a joint work with Raghavan and Vishwanath, and I'm going to talk about saturation for W-refined Littlewood-Richardson coefficient. So first I will recall quickly some basics of representation theory of general linear group. So general linear group GLNC is the collection of all n cross n invertible matrix, okay, and group representation of G is the group homomorphism from G to GLD. So GLD is another general linear group of D cross D matrix. So what is the group homomorphism? It's a map from G to GLD such that map A, the matrix A going to suppose some phi A, and matrix B is going to matrix phi B in GLD, and if you multiply matrix A and B, then it will be also n cross n matrix and take the image of A and B. Then what is the condition? That phi of A of B should be phi of A into phi of B. So when this property is satisfying, that is called the group homomorphism, and any group homomorphism G to GLD is called the representation. Okay, so when it is called the polynomial representation, if you write matrix phi A is also D cross D matrix. So see the entries of this matrix phi A. If each entry will be the polynomial in Aij, where Aij is the entries of matrix A. So such type of representation is called the polynomial representation. So here is one trivial example. Suppose you take GL2C to GL1C1 map, that is map ABCD matrix going to AD minus BC. This is the determinant. So it's a determinant map, and this is the polynomial representation because this entry is the polynomial in ABCD. Okay, here is slightly non-trivial example. Take ABCD matrix going to this matrix, 3 cross 3 matrix. So this is also group homomorphism, and you can see that each entries are polynomial. So it's a polynomial representation. And now we like to talk about the what is the irreducibles. So irreducibles of GLN, those are indexed by a partition, integer partition. So say partition is lambda, I will denote by lambda, and that lambda has with at most n parts. So say it lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda n. So if you take lambda equal to 1 and all other part are 0, so that will be the defining representation. That is just a Cn. That is map is identity GLN to GLN and A goes to A itself. Okay, and here is two more example. One will be the wedge, other will be symmetric, kth symmetric power. And so mostly we study this irreducible representation by some combinatorial model. There are so many combinatorial model. So I will talk about today that Gelfand's settling pattern, this model, and one hive model. So what is the Gelfand model? You take a partition mu with at most n parts, and then what is the GT pattern? GT pattern is the triangular array. So see here I have denoted by these triangular dots. So this is the triangular array where base row is labeled by this partition mu. The first dot is mu1, second mu2, like that. And this dot you have to fill by some real numbers, but with some condition. So what is this condition? If you have any triangular shape like that, like y, x and z, so the condition should be y should be bigger than x and x should be bigger than z. For example, if you take mu equal to 210, so here base row fixed 210. So here is the three choice y, z and x. So with these inequalities, you have to find the real solution. So one possible solution I have written that y equal to 2, x equal to 2 and z equal to 1. Other is like you can take y equal to 1.5 and both other things are 1. So there are infinitely many real solutions. So those real solution is called the polytop. That will be the polytop. Obviously, is bounded by planes, so it will be the polytop. So we'll denote by GT mu. We are interested in not all solution, all real solution, only integer solution. So I will say that that is the integral GT pattern. So these are all 8 possible. Okay. And now, oh, what is happening?
I'm Jitendra.
Okay, so the partial height of some shape mu. So you
One
take a
second. Your presentation is just starting. It's just reappearing.
hello.
Yes, it's back now.
Okay, so I will continue.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I will define just a partial height of shape mu. So it will just like a GT pattern. So it is also triangular shape array. So here is the partial height. Okay, so it is also triangular shape array. Just so you have to add one more extra line on the left. So here see that this is the 4 dot in bottom, and here you have 5 dot in bottom. But the labeling should be just a little bit different. The left side you have to label in high zeros, all left vertices are 0, and the bottom next is first one is mu1 like GT, but the next one you have to add mu1 plus mu2, next is mu1 plus mu2 plus mu3. It's like partial sum of this sequence, and you have to go till last. And in middle, suppose this A, E, D, E, F. So you have to do accordingly D and D plus E and D plus E plus F. So like that. So this is called the partial hive of shape mu. So you can go forth and back from both. So for example, if you have this GT pattern 2, 1, 0 and 2, 1 and 1. So this is the hive, partial hive of this. Just means you can go by this rule and see that. Okay. So, but we know that in partial hive, we have two equalities. I told you that this triangular, if you have this triangular shape, so this will be mu1, mu2 should be bigger than or equal to E, and this F should be bigger than or equal to mu4. This type of equation inequalities you have. So what this inequalities means in the hive, so in hive you see this first inequality mu2 and between E is denoted by this blue rhombus, this blue northeast rhombus, and this is the southwest rhombus, that is the green. Okay, so what is the in this inequalities transform in this rhombus? If you just label the vertices x, y and w and z, so you know that you can, it's a very easy to read this E and mu2 from this blue rhombus. It's just the difference of vertices, because here I have say that you have to just add. So to get back, see D plus E minus D, it is just E, so you will get this E, and mu1 plus mu2 minus mu1 is mu2. So you just differentiate these vertices and just edges, you will get back this E and mu2. So you take like that, it's a omega 2, that w minus z and minus y minus x, and that will should be the bigger than or equal to 0. This inequality is transformed to this. So in fact, if you just unwind this, and it's a very easy, like comes the in this form, that you add these obtuse angle vertices. So this is x and w, those are the obtuse angle, and now subtract the acute angle. So obtuse minus acute should be bigger than or equal to 0. That's the only thing to remember, and that will transform in this inequality. Similarly for this green also. So this inequality transform in this rhombus inequalities. Okay. So why we are doing this rhombus inequalities? Because this have some meaning, like it counts the Littlewood-Judson coefficient. So that I will tell like what is the benefit of this. So if you take a lambda and mu 2 partition and take the tensor product with respect to irreducible module corresponding to lambda and mu. So we know that it is completely decomposable, and that will decompose in this V nu, and this V nu appears in this decomposition sometimes. So that I will denote by C lambda mu nu. That is called the Littlewood-Judson coefficient. How many times V nu appears in this decomposition? Okay, so we want to count what is the Littlewood-Judson coefficient for a given lambda mu nu. So one necessary condition will be always there. Lambda plus mu should be nu. So suppose there is a given 3 partition lambda mu nu such that lambda plus mu equal to nu. What is lambda plus mu equal to nu means? The coordinate wise addition should be nu wise. Okay. So what you do here, you, before I told you that left side vertices is labeled by 0 for partial hive. Now I am defining the hive. Hive will be the left side, you have to label with the partial sum of this lambda. So instead of putting 0, the top will be 0, but this vertices will be lambda 1. The next one will be lambda 1 plus lambda 2. And the next is just sum of all threes, and like that you will go up to last. And now if you move to the right, the bottom row, the first one will be the mod lambda, and next one will be the mod lambda plus mu1, and like that you just continue up to end. So end you will get here mod lambda plus mod mu, and that is equal to nu. And right side vertices you label nu1 plus nu2, and like that, the partial sum of nu1. So the boundaries are fixed. Inside you have to fill some integers such that the rhombus inequality is satisfying. The rhombus inequalities, I told that this blue and green, like up to some minus acute equal to bigger than or equal to 0. Similarly for green, but before that was 2 rhombus. Now here we have to add one more rhombus, that is vertical, that is yellow. That is also the same inequality put, obtuse minus acute is bigger than 0. So after putting all these rhombus inequalities and boundaries fixed by lambda mu nu, you find all possible solution in between, all possible real solution. That is the polytop, and that we call it the hive polytop. And I am denoting by this hive R lambda mu nu, means boundaries fixed and all real solution. So if you see the integral hive, instead of looking all integer solution, you look the all in instead of looking the real solution, look all the integer solution. So you see the all integer solution, that counts the Littlewood-Judson coefficient C lambda mu nu. So for example, if you take lambda and mu equal to 210 and nu equal to 321, so you see here this left side I have this marked by lambda, that is lambda 1 is 2, lambda 1 plus lambda 2 is 3, and lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 is 3 also, because lambda 3 is 0. This lambda 3 is 0. Okay, the next is here 5, so 3 plus 2 is 5, then 5 plus 1 is 6, and 5 plus 0 is 6, and right side is 3 4, this is 3, that will be not 4, this is a typing mistake, it should be 5. Okay, so after fixing this, there is one free variable. So impose all hive condition, and that will give the solution x should belong between 4 to 5. That's the only possible solution. So this Hive polytop is the interval from 4 to 5. But if you want to look at the what is the Littlewood rejection coefficient, so you have to look at only the integer solution, that is 4 and 5, the only two solution 4 and 5. So this C lambda mu nu for this particular lambda mu nu is 2. Okay. So here is a saturation conjecture about the Littlewood rejection coefficient that is proved by Knudsen and Terence Tao and Klechko in 1994. So what is this saturation conjecture? For a given lambda mu nu be a partition with at most n parts, and suppose there exists for any integer k bigger than 1, such that C, the Littlewood rejection coefficient corresponding to k lambda, k mu and k nu. K lambda means each entries you multiply by just k, means k lambda 1, k lambda 2, like that. So if this is positive, this implies that without k, the Littlewood rejection will be also positive. So that means that it's saying that you just increase this label by some numbers. If you have an integer solution, then if you divide that, also it will have an integer solution. So for example, if you take our running example, lambda mu equal to 210, nu is 321, and take k equal to 2. So for a scaled version, this boundary is 4, 6, 6, and bottom is 10, 12, 12, and right side is 6 and 10. So what is the all possible solution? That is interval from 8 to 10. But how many integer solutions are there? There are 3 integer solutions, 8, 9, and 10. But okay, so this is the non-empty. This Hive is non-empty, but you divide by 2. So all boundary you can divide by 2. It's easy because you have a scaled boundary by k, so you can divide. But inner vertices is not sure it is divisible by 2, right? It is the x by 2. So you have to find correct x such that it is divisible by 2. So for 8 and 10, it is divisible. So it has two solution. But here 9 is also possible, but here 9 is not possible. Okay, so it's not clear that if this is positive, so this will be also positive. But the reverse direction is clear. You can always scale, but you cannot divide. Prove some similar version. So I will define just quickly what is the dual Kogan phase of Hive polytop. So you take our previous Hive, this left side is lambda, bottom is mu, and right side is nu, and you label each northeast faces. So this is the northeast rhombus, or northeast rhombus. I will label by some simple reflection of Sn. So Si means the reflection I and I plus 1. So this is the way of labeling. S1, this is the bottom one, then S2, S2 this, and then this. So all this you can label according to this given in the picture. And you take any subset of this northeast rhombus. So say F is the subset, F is the sky blue. So take in this example, I have taken F is the sky blue. Take this is the subset of northeast rhombus. So according to label corresponding to each subset of northeast rhombus, you can associate a word that is WF. So what is the word? You read the label in F from left to right and top to bottom. So for example, here corresponding to this F, the word is S3, S2, S4. So S3, S2, S4, and S1, S2. Okay. So when this word is reduced, so what is reduced means you cannot just, if you take here just face these two, S2 and S2, like you can take here face only these two. So if you associate a word, you will get like S2 and S2. So this is identity. So it is a reduced. We don't want that that type of face. We want that the reading word should be the reduced. So that type of F is called the reduced F. Okay. And you can see that for a given reduce, suppose you want to take a reduce word S2. So there are so many faces. So this is one face I will take, and this is another face I will take. So both will give the reduce face S2. Okay, take a singleton say face. So for a given a word, there are so many faces which give the same reduced word. So what I will do here, for a define what is the dual Kogan phase of Hive polytope. That means take all Hive. So now I am not taking the collection of all Hive. I will impose some condition on the northeast rhombus. So before, the northeast rhombus was inequalities like obtuse minus acute is bigger than or equal to 0. But when I specify here F means F is the subset of northeast rhombus. So take all Hive such that when this northeast rhombus is inside of this phase F, that obtuse minus acute, this greater than or equal to 0 should be equal to 0. Impose one more extra condition. That is called the dual Kogan phase of this Hive polytope. Okay. And now we'll take the union of all such dual Kogan phase Hive polytope, union of all these Kogan phase, where F is reduced and this WF will give some given sigma. So that will denote the KH lambda mu nu sigma. So when you specify sigma, this sigma can appear from many reduced phases, like above I have told you. So take the union over all those phases and collect all these hives. Okay. And now take the all integer solution within this hive. So which phases gives that W sigma is equal to WF equal to sigma. So you take all the integer solution in this. So that is called the refined literalization coefficient. So here is one variable sigma is added. So I will add just like a bracket sigma. And this is concluded by the one result of Fujita and Joseph, the decomposition of one module. So like literalization coefficient, the refined literalization coefficient also have a representation theoretic meaning. So I'll just quickly say that what is had representation theoretic meaning. That if you take a so there is a submodule of this full tensor V lambda tensor V nu that is generated by V lambda tensor VW mu, where V lambda is the highest vector in the capital V lambda irreducible module, and this small VW lambda is a non-zero vector in the one-dimensional weight in V mu, and take this weight, this vector, and generate the module. So that is module generated, say denoted by K lambda sigma mu. Oh, so there is a one typing mistake. Here should be the sigma because I am denoting here sigma. So take this sigma. So Joseph has proved that this module is also decomposable fully. Okay, just like a tensor product. So, but the number of times V nu appears here, it will be the refined literalization coefficient corresponding to sigma. Just like in tensor, it was appearing the literalization coefficient. Okay. So here is some quick property of refined literalization coefficient. If you take sigma equal to omega naught, that the longest element of Sn, that will match to the literalization coefficient. And if you take identity, so it will be either 0 or 1. Like if the lambda plus nu equal to nu, then it will be 1. Otherwise, it will be 0. And here is one more thing. So in literalization coefficient, probably you know that you switch lambda and mu, then it will be the same. It is not changing. But here little bit twist. So if you take lambda mu nu and of this W, and if you switch mu and lambda, so this W will be changed. W will be W inverse. Okay. And the fourth property is if you take W dash is less than or equal to W in Brouwer order, so the literalization coefficient, refined literalization coefficient has this relation. Accordingly, it will preserve the order. Okay. So now we ask the question about similar like saturation conjecture. What is the saturation for this refined literalization coefficient? Okay. So this is we try to look for that. So we follow the approach of Knudsen and Tau, what they have proved. So we see that we are able to figure it out, this theorem. So let this theorem exactly same statement. So let lambda mu nu is the partition with at most n parts, and here fix a sigma in Sn, a permutation such that sigma is 312 avoiding or 231 avoiding. So this is the special permutation. And then if k is bigger than or equal to 1, so if suppose the refined utilization coefficient C, k lambda, k mu and k nu of sigma is bigger than 0, this implies that C lambda mu nu sigma is also bigger than 0. Okay, that means it's saying that if this hive is non-empty, so this hive is also non-empty. This set is non-empty, so this set will be also non-empty, because this set number of this set, if you cardinality of this set is exactly equal to the refined utilization coefficient. Okay, and what is this means 3 1 2 avoiding permutation? It's mean that if sigma is called 312 avoiding if it does not contains any 312 type. So what is the mean of sigma contains 312 type? That means if there exist three numbers I less than j less than k, such that sigma j is less than sigma k is less than sigma I. Suppose this thing is happening, so you call it sigma contains 312, and if doesn't contain any 312, that is called the 312 avoiding. Similarly, 231 avoiding. Okay, so in particular, if you see omega naught, for omega naught, we know that our refined utilization coefficient is equal to the full utilization coefficient. So omega naught is both 312 avoiding and 231 avoiding. So our result is just a generalization of saturation conjecture proved by this Knudsen and Terence Tao. Okay, so that's my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrigendra. So, questions for Mrigendra? Any questions?
Sushmita, there is a question on the chart by Digjoy.
Okay. Okay. So Digjoy's question is, do we have a rule for computing refined Littlewood-Richardson rule in terms of Littlewood-Richardson tableau?
Yes, we do have. Means while this sigma you can interpret in that Littlewood-Richardson tableau also. So you know that the Littlewood-Richardson tableau correspond to the tableau of shape mu, or you can say that lambda, whatever you are preferring to take. By that you can calculate that sigma. So you can figure it out which one correspond to exactly in the refined Littlewood-Richardson coefficient. So we do have very nice things we have in the Tableau form also. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Any more questions? Since there are no more questions, we'll conclude today's session, and we will meet again next Friday. So thank you all for
Thank you for having me.